All right, everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video and watching my interpreting series. Today, it's going to be a long one. We're not focusing on just legal terms. We're going through very long court phrases that appear very often in criminal court. And I chose some that included some very common terms or language that you might experience. So I want to make this as useful as possible. And I hope you also like the makeup look for today. Because it's such long vocabulary, I kind of went intense with the makeup look. And then these were the flashcards that we're going to go over in today's video. And so I hope you enjoy. See you soon. Hi there. What we're doing today is reviewing some flashcards with common terms or phrases that you'll hear in criminal court. And they're quite long, some of them longer than others. And so I'm going to do more of a complex item today just to fill up some time. We're going to start with primer. And our term or phrase is arraignment means that you will be advised of the charges against you. This one will be great. I want you to pay particular attention to arraignment, advised of the charges against you. So the whole thing, really. So arraignment, you can say either lectura or instrucción de cargos. So I'm gonna stick with instrucción. La instrucción de cargos significa que se le informará de las imputaciones promovidas en su contra. So that would mean arraignment is instrucción de cargos, will be advised, se le informará, the charges against you, las imputaciones promovidas en su contra. I'm going to tap in this primer all along the eyelids. Our next flashcard. Criminal offenses punishable by imprisonment in city or county jail or by a fine, or both jail time and a fine, are called misdemeanors. And this is a long one, so we're going to again break it down in chunks. And before we break it down, let's actually start with the eyes. I'm going to head into the darkest brown, and I'm going to go for a graphic look. So I'm going to start creating the shape I want with this. So let's break it down. Criminal offenses, delitos penales, punishable by imprisonment, sancionables con reclusión, in city or county jail, en la cárcel pública local o municipal. For county, you could say condado, but in Latin American countries, condado doesn't exist. So to interpret meaning, that's why we're going to say municipal, and also city jail is also cárcel pública local. And by a fine or both jail time and a fine is una multa, o con ambos reclusión y con una multa. So jail time, reclusión, are called misdemeanors, se llaman delitos menores. All right, I'm going to start creating this shape. And I have hooded eyelids, so I'm not going to look down or up. I'm just going to keep my face straight. I have a mirror over here. All right, I'm gonna do the same on the other eye. It's okay, we're gonna clean this up and I'm gonna deposit more color, but I just want to lay down the initial shape and then we're gonna clean up. All right, our next flashcard. You have the right to a jury trial. A jury consists of 12 people selected from the community who must decide if you are guilty or not of the alleged offense. And you guessed it, we're gonna break it up. We're gonna focus on some terms. For example, you have the right, you have a lot of rights, so it will be repeated very often. So I want you to focus on how do you interpret you have the right. And then what is jury trial? There's also a bench trial, so I know how to say jury trial. And then alleged offense. Un jurado, so a jury, un jurado consiste de 12 personas elegidas en la comunidad quienes deben decidir si usted es culpable o no culpable del presunto delito. Alleged crime, presunto delito. And moving on with the eyes, right above these brown lines, we're going to move into this deep purple. And just gonna line it right above there. And I'm gonna get a smaller mirror to get in closer so I know exactly where I'm going and get precise in there. All right, and then we're going to go right back into the brown one to create more of a difference between the purple and the brown. I should have gone for a brighter, just different tones, but you know, you live and you learn. Next flashcard. This trial must occur within 30 days from your arraignment if you are in custody, or within 45 days if you are not in custody. This will be a great reminder for trial, arraignment, in custody. Este juicio, this trial, debe llevarse a cabo dentro de los siguientes 30 días. Must occur within 30 days a partir de su instrucción de cargos, from your arraignment. Si está detenido, if you are in custody, o dentro de los siguientes 45 días si no está detenido, or within 45 days if you are not in custody. Here's where I'm gonna go a little bit extra. I have some makeup remover and a little Q-tip. And I'm just going to clean up the top, make it thinner. And also from the bottom, clean it up a bit as well. All right, so you can see this side, this side. Next flashcard. If you plead not guilty in a misdemeanor case, you have the right to a speedy and public trial in the district where the alleged offense was committed. If you plead not guilty in a misdemeanor case, si se declara no culpable a un delito menor, tiene el derecho a un juicio rápido y público en el distrito donde se cometió el presunto delito. So again, alleged offense, presunto delito, a speedy and public trial, un juicio rápido y público, and misdemeanor case, un delito menor. All right, next, I'm going to go in with the Flower Desert Lights palette. And the lightest one, I'm going to use a dense brush and pack this on that white space. All right, our next flashcard. Further, there is a $35 fee for any continuance of a payment of a fine. So what is continuance of a payment? It's if you can't afford to outright pay something and they need to give an extension. They just really like charging wherever they can, really. And so this one, fee and fine, the words are often used interchangeably, but they do have different interpretations. So further, además, there is a $35 fee hay un recargo de $35 for any continuance por cualquier prórroga, continuance, prórroga, of a payment or a fine, solicitada para el pago de una multa. Fine, multa. Fee, recargo. So, further, there is a $35 fee for any continuance of a payment of a fine. Además, hay un recargo de $35 por cualquier prórroga solicitada para el pago de una multa. And next on the eyes, we're going to do the same thing that we did at first with the brown and purple shades, but we're going to do this really close to the eyelash and wing it out. And using the exact same brush for the brown, our next flashcard, the mandatory minimum fine which would be imposed is la multa mínima obligatoria que se impondría es de, so mandatory minimum fine, multa mínima obligatoria. So in the interpretation, fine, multa, is going to be at the front, and mandatory minimum, mínima obligatoria. La multa mínima obligatoria que se impondría es de, right, and then right below this, we're going to do the purple. And moving on to our next flashcard. Most traffic offenses are called infractions, and they can result in a maximum fine of $100 for a first conviction. So traffic offenses, this one, how do I say it? Most traffic offenses are called infractions. La mayoría de los quebrantos al código de tránsito se llaman infracciones. Traffic offenses, quebrantos al código de tránsito. It's literally violations of the traffic code, traffic offenses. La mayoría de los quebrantos al código de tránsito are called infractions, se llaman infracciones. And they can result in a maximum fine. Let's see if you remember fine. Y pueden requerir el pago de una multa máxima de $100 for a first conviction si es la primera infracción. Because this is traffic, you wouldn't say, usually conviction would be condena, but because this is traffic, and they've just explained that that's why they're called infracciones, where they're just different. They're not as serious, and so just different terminology really for specific for traffic. So for a first conviction, si es la primera infracción, but you would only say infracción as the interpretation of conviction if it's a traffic offense. And then let's move on to our purple. I used most of the brown that was already on this, so I'm just going to use the same brush. All right, next flashcard. At this hearing, the prosecutor must present sufficient evidence to convince the judge that the offense charged has been committed and that there is reasonable cause to believe that you are guilty of that offense. And so if you were interpreting this in court, this is why it's really important to kind of just study it in chunks, because you're going to hear it very often and it just has to flow. But let's break this down in chunks so it's more manageable. And also, while I'm assessing, I don't like how round this is in comparison to how sharp this is. Let's see if I can wing it out more. We'll figure it out later. All right. At this hearing, en esta audiencia, hearing, audiencia, the prosecutor, el fiscal, must present sufficient evidence. Debe presentar pruebas suficientes. Don't forget, evidence in Spanish is plural. To convince the judge, para convencer al juez, that the offense charged has been committed, que se cometió el delito imputado, and that there is reasonable cause, y que existe un motivo razonable, reasonable cause, motivo razonable, to believe that you are guilty of that offense, para creer que usted es culpable de tal delito. All right, and then, let's see, I'm going to add some shimmer to this part of my eyes. And back to the Desert Lights palette, I did this one all over, and now I'm going to go with this one. Next, I'm going to curl my eyelashes and apply some mascara. I forgot to hit resume on the recording, but so far I've just started applying my foundation, and I'm just spreading it lightly all over my skin. Doesn't matter that it's not blended out fully because I have my damp sponge. I'm gonna bring it in and blend, blend, blend. And by blend, I mostly mean patting it into the skin so it melts in there really well. I want it to not sit on top of my skin, but really sink deep in there. Well, that foundation is wonderful, love it. And I'm going to move into this concealer from e.l.f. and our next terms. If you are charged with a felony and the municipal court judge determines at a preliminary hearing that there is sufficient cause to believe that you committed the offense, you must be brought to trial within 60 days of your arraignment in Superior Court. So if you are charged with a felony, municipal court judge, preliminary hearing, sufficient cause, committed the offense, brought to trial, arraignment, Superior Court. I want you to keep an ear out for these terms in particular. Si lo acusan de un delito mayor, felony, delito mayor, y el juez del tribunal municipal determina en una audiencia preliminar, preliminary hearing, audiencia preliminar, que hay motivo suficiente, sufficient cause, para creer que usted cometió el delito, usted debe ser procesado dentro de los siguientes 60 días a partir de su instrucción de cargos, that is arraignment, en el Tribunal Superior, in Superior Court. All right, and then just gonna do, let's see. So I want more coverage here, a little here. I think my bangs are gonna cover this, and maybe this spot here, and here. While this sits on my face, just to let the coverage sink in here particularly, we're gonna move on to our next flashcard. And you will be asked to enter a plea of guilty, no contest, or not guilty to the charge. This one, it's so important, a plea of guilty, no contest, or not guilty. Y se le pedirá que presente una declaración de culpable, no me opongo, o no culpable del delito imputado. I'm going to blend it in. Just gonna blend a little bit whatever is left over on this sponge just down my neck a bit so it's not such a harsh contrast. And it's not like I'm going anywhere. It's 7:26.
Oh, I got killed. Fuck.
All right. Each of you is here today because you are charged with the violation of some law. Cada uno de ustedes, that is, each of you, se encuentra aquí hoy, is here today, porque se le ha imputado, because you are charged con un quebranto de la ley, with the violation of some law. For violation, you can't say violación because violar is rape. And so violation of some law, think of it more in the interpretation as the literal breaking of the law, con un quebranto de la ley. So each of you is here today because you are charged with the violation of some law. Cada uno de ustedes se encuentra aquí hoy porque se le ha imputado con un quebranto de la ley. And I'm gonna move in with my eyebrows. I wanna fill them in and kind of elongate so it goes to this tip. I have already done this eyebrow and you can see the difference. Next flashcard. A crime punishable by imprisonment in state prison is a felony. A crime, un delito, punishable by imprisonment, que se sanciona con reclusión in state prison, en el penal estatal, is a felony, se llama un delito mayor. A crime punishable by imprisonment in state prison is a felony. Un delito que se sanciona con reclusión en el penal estatal se llama un delito mayor. And I'm going to move on with my cream bronzer. I'm going to just do a little 3 shape. And done. Perfect. And then I'm going to just pat this in to blend it in. And it might seem really harsh, but this blends out really easily, which I appreciate. And it's just gonna bring warmth back into my skin. The foundation gives me a blank canvas, and then I get to decide where do I want to add warmth and a contour. And I don't really do contour, that's when you do shadows. Really, not much. But I do like warming up the face, even in winter. If the court so finds, you will be held to answer and ordered to appear for an arraignment at the superior court. And then remember, there's different ways of interpreting court. If the court finds, that is someone making a decision. Si así lo determina el juez, usted será consignado y se le ordenará que comparezca. Don't forget, order to appear or appear in the legal sense is comparecer. For an arraignment, una instrucción de cargos, at the superior court, en el tribunal superior. All right, and then for our blush, I'm going to use my Milk makeup in the shade Work. And just gonna do it here and here. Cute. And, however, your willful failure to appear in court or to pay a fine for an infraction is punishable as a misdemeanor, and the court may impose a jail sentence or a fine. And as I blend, let's think about these because we've heard a few of them today already. We've heard appear in the legal sense. Court, this, if you watched my other video on how to say court different ways, we just did fine and infraction and jail sentence. So, however, your willful failure to appear in court or to pay a fine for an infraction is punishable as a misdemeanor, and the court may impose a jail sentence or a fine. Sin embargo, el no comparecer en el juzgado intencionalmente o el no pagar una multa por una infracción se sanciona como un delito menor y el juez puede imponerle una condena carcelaria o una multa. Now that I have all of my creams on my face, I'm going to start setting with my e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. And I feel like this is when you really notice the difference. vote for me.
That's what we should have done. I think we should have just.
Or it just elevates it. So just take a look at the shine here, and then I'm just gonna press and mattify away. And,
We'll catch up soon. Oh, amazing.
and the mirror that I was using over here, it has a light, and I guess it just ran out of battery, so if you saw the light dim down, that is what happened. All right. We are moving on with powder bronzer. I have my Juvia's Place. And I'm going to use this dense brush and our next flashcard as well. If an attorney is appointed, the judge will ask you about your financial status at the end of your case to see if you can afford to contribute to the cost of the attorney. So, attorney is appointed, your financial status, end of your case, afford to contribute, and cost of the attorney are the terms that let's focus on. Si se le nombra un abogado, so that is if an attorney is appointed, si se le nombra un abogado, el juez le preguntará sobre su estado económico al finalizar su causa para ver si tiene los medios económicos para contribuir al pago del abogado. Sus medios económicos, if you can afford to contribute, financial status, estado económico. And I'm going to dip my brush into the lightest shade. And my bangs are gonna cover the top really, so I guess I didn't really need a bronze there. I'm just gonna focus it right here. And then for our powder blush, and it's gonna also duo as our highlight, I have the Essence Pure Nude Baked Blush in the shade Pretty Peach. Super pretty. And with this, and the same areas. And I think I want some color here, so whatever's left on my blush brush, I'm just gonna wipe it on the bridge of my nose and blend it out. All right. I'm going to bring down the bangs and then see what lip I want to do. All right, I do feel bonita. And we're just gonna do one more flashcard while I do the lip, and then we're gonna review all of our terms at the end. And for a lip liner, I'm gonna use this one from e.l.f. Before you decide how to plead to the charge, you should be aware of your constitutional rights. Plead to the charge and constitutional rights are what I want you to focus on. Antes que decida cómo declararse al delito imputado, usted deberá ser informado de sus derechos constitucionales. And we're gonna top this lip liner with this lipstick from Milani in the shade Secret. All right, guys, what do we think? I love it. I feel bonita. Yeah, And all that's left is to go over our terms together, see what's stuck, and I encourage you to do flashcards or just watch along for my videos. And eventually, we're gonna keep going over these terms, so you'll see them. The terms, but I'm not really good at shuffling, so let's just go through them. And you will be asked to enter a plea of guilty, no contest, or not guilty to the charge. Y se le pedirá que presente una declaración de culpable, no me opongo, o no culpable del delito imputado. If you are charged with a felony and the municipal court judge determines at a preliminary hearing that there is sufficient cause to believe that you committed the offense, you must be brought to trial within 60 days of your arraignment in superior court. Si lo acusan de un delito mayor y el juez del tribunal municipal determina en una audiencia preliminar que hay motivo suficiente para creer que usted cometió el delito, usted debe ser procesado dentro de los siguientes 60 días a partir de su instrucción de cargos en el Tribunal Superior. At this hearing, the prosecutor must present sufficient evidence to convince the judge that the offense has been committed and that there is reasonable cause to believe that you are guilty of that offense. En esta audiencia, el fiscal debe presentar pruebas suficientes para convencer al juez que se cometió el delito imputado y que existe un motivo razonable para creer que usted es culpable de tal delito. Further, there is a $35 fee for any continuance of a payment of a fine. Además, hay un recargo de $35 por cualquier prórroga solicitada para el pago de una multa. Most traffic offenses are called infractions, and they can result in a maximum fine of $100 for a first conviction. La mayoría de los quebrantos al Código de Tránsito se llaman infracciones y pueden requerir el pago de una multa máxima de $100 si es la primera infracción. If you plead not guilty in a misdemeanor case, you have the right to a speedy and public trial in the district where the alleged offense was committed. Si se declara no culpable a un delito menor, tiene el derecho a un juicio rápido y público en el distrito donde se cometió el presunto delito. The mandatory minimum fine which would be imposed is... La multa mínima obligatoria que se impondría es de... Arraignment means that you will be advised of the charges against you. La instrucción de cargos significa que se le informará de las imputaciones promovidas en su contra. The trial must occur within 30 days from your arraignment if you are in custody, or within 45 days if you are not in custody. Este juicio debe llevarse a cabo dentro de los siguientes 30 días a partir de su instrucción de cargo, si está detenido, o dentro de los siguientes 45 días si no está detenido. You have the right to a jury trial. A jury trial consists of You have the right to a jury trial. A jury consists of 12 people selected from the community who must decide if you are guilty or not of the alleged crime. Un jurado consiste de 12 personas elegidas en la comunidad, quienes deben decidir si usted es culpable o no culpable del presunto delito. Criminal offenses punishable by imprisonment in city or county jail, or by a fine or both jail time and a fine, are called misdemeanors. Los delitos penales, sancionables con reclusión en la cárcel pública local o municipal, o con una multa, o con ambos reclusión y con una multa, se llaman delitos menores. Before you decide how to plead to the charge, you should be aware of your constitutional rights. Antes que decida cómo declararse al delito imputado, usted deberá ser informado de sus derechos constitucionales. If an attorney is appointed, the judge will ask about your financial status at the end of your case to see if you can afford to contribute to the cost of the attorney. Si se le nombra un abogado, el juez le preguntará sobre su estado económico al finalizar su causa para ver si tiene los medios económicos para contribuir al pago del abogado. However, your willful failure to appear in court or to pay a fine for an infraction is punishable as a misdemeanor, and the court may impose a jail sentence or a fine. Sin embargo, el no comparecer en el juzgado intencionalmente o el no pagar una multa por una infracción se sanciona como un delito menor y el juez puede imponerle una condena carcelaria o una multa. If the court so finds, you will be held to answer and ordered to appear for an arraignment at the superior court. Si así lo determina el juez, usted será consignado y se le ordenará que comparezca en una instrucción de cargos en el Tribunal Superior. A crime punishable by imprisonment in state imprisonment is a state felony. If I'm laughing, I don't know if you can hear, but my partner is losing his tits at someone in the game Marvel Rivals. So I'm just laughing at that if you can hear. A crime punishable by imprisonment in state prison is a felony. Un delito que se sanciona con reclusión en el penal estatal se llama delito mayor. And finally, each of you is here today because you are charged with the violation of some law. Cada uno de ustedes se encuentra aquí hoy porque se le ha imputado con un quebranto de la ley. All right, and that was all of our terms. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you enjoyed today's look. Have a great day. Adios.